Richard clapped his hands, the sound echoing between the walls.
"It is time to discuss what I need of you."
Ramon held back a frown. They entered the main hall, and several servants dropped their plates in surprise. The king strode determinedly toward the dais that held his table and chair, while his personal servants hurried to attend him. There was always a crowd of men waiting for the king to notice them. The king's scribe followed them on silent steps, with his assistants holding rolled parchments. Ramon waited until they seated the king. It wasn't an easy task, controlling the urge to ask the question that was gnawing at him. The king glanced at his scribe, but summoned Ramon forward instead. Ramon took the seat next to the king.
"There is no question of what I am going to be doing, sire. I shall accompany you on the Crusade."
Richard was back in England only long enough to call up a new army, which he planned to march on Jerusalem.
"This crusade is necessary to wipe my past sins away, but I must strip every resource out of this country to outfit my army."
Servants began to place the first meal of the day in front of them. Bowls of steaming porridge were set down, and since it was the king's table, there were also bowls of fresh summer fruit, a small pitcher of cream, and even costly lumps of sugar. The king frowned.
"Take the luxuries away."
He flattened his hand against the tabletop.
"We have come from praying the night through, and will greet the morning with a meal befitting the humility every Christian soul should observe while our holy city is held captive by the Moors."
The servants hustled to obey, and Richard winked at Ramon.
"We'll need a reason now to celebrate, my friend. Tonight, we shall feast in honor of your coming wedding."
Ramon ground his teeth. Richard laughed, tilting his head back and roaring at the ceiling.
"You should see the look on your face, Segrave. I swear you look like a beardless lad facing a bride who is old enough to be his mother, yet still eager for the consummation."
"The look on my face is born of a man's experience with marriage." Ramon didn't flinch in the face of the hard glare Richard sent him. That steadfastness gained him a grunt of approval from his monarch.
"Forgive me, but I would keep my own counsel when it comes to choosing a bride. On that matter, I suggest you confine your opinions to who is in your bed."
A servant looked up, her eyes wide with shock. The king slapped the tabletop with mirth.
"You know something, Segrave. I am going to miss having your honesty by my side. Too many of these knights are greedy bastards at heart. They fear to tell me anything that might upset my delicate disposition."
Ramon's lips twitched.
"You haven't a delicate bone in your body, sire."
Richard took a fresh round of bread and tore it in two. The king bowed his head and offered up a prayer of thanks. The scent drifted on the morning breeze, making his mouth water, but Ramon remained focused. The king was in a controlling mood. His own empty belly could wait. Once Richard made a decision, it was set in stone, even ones he made while breaking bread.
"I would accompany your majesty on the crusade, as I have done for the last decade. To serve you is my greatest honor, and the only life I know."
Richard bit off a chunk of bread and chewed it before answering.
Aye, and that is exactly why I need you to remain here in England."
Another section of bread disappeared into the king's mouth, so Ramon had to wait to hear the king's reasoning. He didn't care for the tension that knotted his neck.
"The Welsh persist in their rebellion against me, while my own brother covets my throne in this miserable country."
He stopped and pointed at Ramon.
"I need you to stabilize the government here, which is why I elevated you to the station of Baron. My dear brother John will have a Baron's council here to keep him in his place. You will be one of those men, Ramon, one I can rely on to rule justly and keep the law. You will be a member of the highest council in this kingdom."
The king nodded and wiped his lips with the cloth lying on the table. Ramon frowned.
"I am a knight. I belong beside you." "Now you are a baron," the king declared firmly.